Hi everyone! Today I'm going to show you how to use the TVM solver on your graphing calculator. So where you find this, you're first going to hit the Apps button, which is right next to the Math button. Then you're going to push 1 to go to the Finance menu. And then you're going to push 1 to go to the TVM solver. And your screen should look pretty similar to mine with all the same prompts. The end and beginning will be listed at the bottom, but everything else should be in the same location. All right, so let's talk about what things stand for. N is your total number of payments in months. So we typically use T for our number of years. And in this case, we're going to take that and multiply by 12 to give this in months. I% is your annual interest rate, and you are not going to convert this to a decimal. You are going to write it as the percent. PV is your principal value, the initial amount. This is going to be your loan or deposit amount. PMT is going to be your monthly payment amount. So for a savings account, this is going to be 0. If you're doing an annuity where you're doing regular deposits, then you'll use that PMT amount. All right, FV is our future value. If it's a loan, you're going to put 0. If a savings account, put the future value amounts. If you're trying to save up to $10,000, you'll put 10,000. Remember, if it's a loan, you want eventually to have your loan paid off and owe nothing. That's why you'll put 0. PY is payments per year. This is always going to be 12. And then CY is compounding per year. If it's a loan, you'll put 12. If it's a savings account, you're going to put our typical N value. So if it's annually, 1, semi-annually, 2, etc. All right, so to use the TVM solver, you're going to input the values you know, enter X for the missing information. This is just on your paper. On the calculator, you can just skip over that one. Then you're going to place your cursor in the position with the missing information, so the one you're trying to solve for. Okay, so again, this is what you're solving for. And you're going to press alpha, enter to solve. Okay, so the alpha button and then the enter button to solve. And again, you want that where the cursor's going to be blinking where you're solving for, and then alpha, enter. All right, you might see some errors. If it says error says no sign change, you have to make the PV or the FV negative. If you're doing a loan, could also be the PMT might need to be negative. And then PMT needs to always be in end. So see how my end is highlighted? Yours, if you want to scroll, use the arrows to go all the way to the button. If beginning is highlighted, just put the cursor over end and hit enter, and then you can highlight end that way. All right, so let's try to use this. It says, suppose you put $1,000 in a savings account with an interest rate of 1.5% annually. How much would be in the account after 5 years if the interest was compounded, A, once a year, and B, quarterly? So let's identify things. $1,000. This is going to represent our PV. An interest rate of 1.5%. Oops, I don't know why I'm writing that. I'm going to write this as our I%. How much would be in the account after 5 years if the interest was compounded? And then our once a year. That means our CY is 1. Now this 5 years, remember we need the number of months. So for our N, we're going to do 5 times 12, which gives us 60. Okay, so our N here is 60. Our I% is 1.5. Our PV is 1,000. This is a savings account, so our PMT is 0. And then our FV, this is what we're solving for. So I'm going to put X equals on my paper. Our PY is always 12, and in this case, our CY, once a year, is 1. So let's enter this information in our calculator. We have 60 for N. Our I% is 1.5. And you can hit enter or you can hit the down arrow to go to the next blank. Our PV is 1,000. Our PMT is 0. Our FV, you can just leave whatever's in there for now because that's what we're solving for, so skip over that one. Our PY is 12 and our CY is 1. So now we're going to arrow back up to FV, and you're going to put the cursor over FV. Notice mine's blinking over the 0 that I have in FV. So it can be blinking over whatever number you have there. And then you're going to hit alpha, the green button, and then enter. Once you do that, it should pop up like this. Notice there's a little black box up to the left of FV. That means that it's solved with all these values. So we have a negative 1077.284004. Remember we said PV or FV or the PMT will have to be negative. That's the only reason why this shows up negative, because of the solver, how the function works. So money, we go to 2 decimal places and use regular rounding rules. So our money in our account is going to be, there we go, $1,077.28. All right, let's try B. If you notice for B, now the only thing we're changing is now it's quarterly, which is 4 times a year. So our CY, we're going to change to 4. So our N is still 60, I% is 1.5, PV is 1,000, PMT 0, FV we're solving for again. PY is 12 and our CY is 4. So we can leave all the amounts that we just entered and just arrow down to CY. We're going to change this to 4, and then we're going to arrow back up to FV. Now notice once I change the CY to 4, that little box next to the FV disappeared because it's no longer solved for that because we changed our CY value. All right, so to solve for FV again, we do the same thing. Alpha, the green button, enter. And now we can see it's very close, but a little bit different. We have negative 1077.732962. Again, go to 2 decimal places, regular rounding rules. And this time we have $1,077.73. So you can see it made a little bit of a difference. If we compounded 4 times per year instead of 1 time per year, we did have a little more money in our account. All right, so let's go to the next page. We're going to look at a different type of problem, solving for a different variable. We're going to take a look here at number 3. At what annual interest rate compounded monthly will $1,250 accumulate to $2,000 if it is left in an account for 7 years? All right, so we have a lot of information. Compounded monthly means our CY is 12. 1,250 is our starting value, so that's our PV. $2,000 is our goal, so that's our FV, and it's left in the account for 7 years, which means our N, we have to do 7 times 12, which is 84. All right, so, and we're solving for at what annual interest rate? So I'm going to put X equals here by my I%. That's what we're solving for. Our N, we said, is 84. Our PV is 1,250. Our PMT is 0. Our FV is 2,000. Our PY is 12. And our CY is 12. Now remember, I gave you a little error hint before. Your PV or your FV must be negative. So, because we have both of these values, we have to make one of them negative. So I'm going to make my FV negative 2,000. You can make the PV negative instead, it doesn't matter. You just have to make one of them negative for the TVM solver to work correctly. All right, let's enter our information that we have here. I'm going to arrow back up to the top. So our N is 84. Our I% we're solving for, so I'm just going to leave what we have in there for now. Our PV is 1,250. Our PMT is 0. Our future value is negative 2,000. Our PY is 12 and our CY is 12. I'm going to arrow back up to our I% because we're solving for that interest rate. Then we hit alpha, enter, and here we get 6.733. Let's just do 16. I'll stop there. We can write this interest rate to 2 decimal places is fine. So using regular rounding rules, this is 6.73%. All right, I want to do one more example with you just to go over a full, longer problem that will be more similar to what you'll see on your project. So we are going to go to the top of the next page. And so here we're looking at a car problem. It says you have your eye on a brand new Ford Mustang convertible. Unfortunately, it costs $23,365. The bank has given you a 4-year loan at 6.9% annual interest, and you have $2,000 to make a down payment. So let's answer these questions. What will the down payment be? It says you have $2,000 for the down payment. So to get the loan amount, we're going to take our car price, $23,365, minus the $2,000, that's our down payment. So our loan amount is going to be $21,365. All right, so what will the monthly payments be? This is what we're going to solve for. So I'm going to show you this using our TVM solver. So using our information from above, we have a 4-year loan. So our N, we're going to do 4 times 12, which is 48. Our I% says we have 6.9% annual interest. So this is 6.9. Our PV, how much are you financing from the bank? We just found that's $21,365. That's our loan amount. Our PMT, this is what we're solving for. So I'm going to put X equals for now. Our FV, what is the amount when the loan is fully paid back? We want it to be 0. Then we don't owe the bank any money. Our PY is 12, and our CY for a loan, you always put 12. Again, this is because it's monthly payments. All right, so let's enter this into our calculator. Our N is 48. Our I% is 6.9. Our PV is 21,365. Our PMT, we're just going to leave what's in there for now because that's what we're solving for. Our FV is 0. Our PY is 12, and our CY is 12. So I'm going to put my cursor up to PMT. And now again, remember we said PV or FV or PMT, as long as we're solving for one of those, we don't need to put a negative in there. So our PMT is going to come out negative when we solve for this. So we have the cursor set in PMT. Go ahead, hit alpha, enter. And here we get negative 510.620872. And so we'll do this monthly payment to the nearest cent using regular rounding rules. And this is going to be $510.62. Now I do want to show you this TVM solver does work very well. If you do this using the finance formula, remember we have PMT is equal to, we'd have our 21,365 times our 0.069 over 12 divided by our 1 minus 1 plus 0.069 all over 12 raised to the negative 12 times 4 power. And so I will show you, this does come out the same way. We have our 21,365 times 0.069 divided by 12 divided by our 1 minus 1 plus 0.069 divided by 12 raised to the negative 12 times 4 power. When we enter this whole thing in, you see, we get exactly the same thing. Our PMT is $510.62. You can see all the decimal places come out exactly the same. So again, just wanted to show you that it is the same thing. So when you do your project, you can use the finance formulas or you can use the TVM solver. But I think this is kind of a neat little thing that makes some of these calculations go faster. All right, so let's finish answering the rest of the questions. It says, what is the total amount you spend purchasing the car, sum of the total bank payments and deposit? So the total amount paying the bank over the 4 years. We're going to have to take our $510.62 times 12 times a year times 4 years. So when I do that, this comes out to $24,509.76. Plus, we did a deposit or our down payment of $2,000. So again, deposit, this is the same thing as your down payment. So the total purchase price, you can see, I don't know why that changed that to a fraction. That's weird. Make it a decimal. There we go. Just to show you on my calculator. So when you add this up, you probably could have done that in your head too. It's $26,509.76. All right, so the total amount spent in interest over the course of your 4-year loan. So this is the difference of the total bank payment and the loan amount. So the total amount you're paying the bank over 4 years, remember that's not the total purchase price. This is your total amount paying the bank over the 4 years. So this is our $24,509.76. Now we're going to subtract our loan amount, which was $21,365. So here I'll enter this, $24,509.76 minus our loan amount, $21,365. And this gives us total interest paid of $3,144.76. So let's just a little look into how to use the TVM solver and what some of the problems will look like for your project.